After beating someone wielding a knife with the aid of a mysterious savior, Ryouko Ookami is confessed to by a shy Ryoushi Morino and subsequently turns him down. When her friend Ringo Akai does a background check on him, she decides to recruit him into the Otogi Bank, a business that fulfills various requests for students in return for some favors. A client, Kakari Haibara, arrives and requests for them to keep her senpai, Akihiro Oji, from quitting the tennis club due to an injury. The Otogi Bank tries using Ryoshi's ability to remain unnoticed to stop Akihiro's resignation form from being approved, but with unsuccessful results. With only a matter of time before the form is handed in, Ryoshi rides Kakari to Akihiro in a pumpkin bicycle constructed by Majolica Lefei. Though, due to its lack of brakes, it crashes and Kakari ends up knocking him out, leaving her shoe behind in the retreat. Later that day, Ryouko and Ringo are confronted by the thug from earlier along with his buddies, and Ryoshi gets injured, protecting her from a surprise attack. After defeating the thugs, Ryouko accepts Ryoshi as one of her companions. The next day, Akihiro, realizing by way of a Cinderella method that Kakari was the one who kicked him, promises her that they will play tennis together. Ryoshi tells Ringo about why he fell for Ryouko, which Ringo tells her about later that night. The next day, while the other members go shopping, Ryoshi hangs around the Otogi Bank with Taro Urashima, who quickly gets dragged away by Otome Ryugu when a female customer comes in worried about having to see her violent ex-boyfriend. When Ryouko and Ryoshi investigate the meeting place, it turns out to be a trap laid out by thugs from Onigashima High School. Ryouko is overwhelmed and kidnapped while Ryoshi informs the other club members. Ryouko hides her true feelings of fear as she faces the gang's boss, who attempts to humiliate her by fondling her breasts. Ryoshi and Ringo use his dogs to discover the base, and Ryoshi uses a wrist-mounted slingshot to attack the thugs from the shadows, helping set Ryouko free to join the fight. When the boss tries to take Ryouko hostage, Ryoshi fights him one-on-one and manages to beat him while fueled by his feelings for her before passing out. Otohime is in a rivalry with Mimi Usami, who used to call her names when she was a chubby elementary school student. They decide to enter the Otogi Academy pageant, being loosely based on the story of the tortoise and the hare. Otohime requests the assistance of the Otogi Bank to help her win. Both sides end up using slander campaigns on their opponents, while Ryouko and the other girls somehow get entered as well. Otohime reminisces of how she first became Mimi's rival, as well as Taro's friend. During the pageant, all the females showcase their swimsuit attire, catching the eyes of the audience, though neither Otohime nor Mimi end up ranking. However, Least Kiriki tells Otohime that she won the attention of Taro as her only vote. When Ryoshi protects Atsu Surigaya from a stray baseball, she, being obsessed with repaying favors, becomes his maid and does all various things, which makes him uncomfortable. While visiting Ryoshi's house to check on the situation, Ryouko and Ringo meet his aunt, named Yukime Murano, an author whom Ryouko is a big fan of, who points out Ryoko's potential feelings for Ryoshi. Atsu soon gets a fever from overworking and collapses due to fatigue. The others learn about Atsu's childhood, where she was protected from a car by a boy who died before she could thank him, resulting in her having a fear of being unable to return favors. Ringo comes up with the idea of having everyone dress up as maids and serve Atsu, reminding her that there is no such thing as favors between friends. Ryouko has trouble dealing with Momoko Kibutsu, a disciplinary committee member who is also a bisexual with a crush on her. Momoko comes to the Otogi Bank to request assistance for an attack on Onigashima High School. After getting through the initial waves of delinquents, the members are soon separated and communications are blocked off. Ryouko soon comes against Onigashima's student council president, Shiro Hitsujikai. when Ryouko fears greatly until Ryoushi and the others arrive to back her up, asking him to keep the delinquents in check. As the group wonders just what Shiro may be up to, Ryouko thanks Ryoushi for helping her. Concerned about Ryouko, Ryoushi meets up with Ringo to ask about her relationship with Shiro, though she says it would be best to ask her himself once he gains her trust. Ringo recalls when she first met Ryouko in middle school and saw her true side for the first time. Noticing Ryouko pushing herself and getting into needless fights to hide her true feelings, Ringo came to understand her and offered her friendship. Ryoushi recalls when he started observing Ryouko and inevitably falling in love with her and decides to become stronger so he can protect her. A girl named Ami Jizo has been secretly preparing food for baseball player Jin Hanasaki, as she has a crush on him, but is too shy to talk to him. Although he does not have feelings for her, he offers a date to repay her, with Ringo making it a double date with Ryouko and Ryoushi to ease her nerves. They go to the cinema, the arcade, the pet store, and the park. Halfway through the date, Ryouko spots a cat stuck up in a tree, and upon going to rescue it, falls into the pond and hits her head. She ends up contracting amnesia, believing she is 13 years old and has a completely different personality to her usual self. While Ryoushi looks after her in this state, Ami and Jin are left alone on their date. When Ryoushi and Ringo try to figure out how best to deal with it, Ryouko feels she is being ignored and runs off into the rain where she runs into Shiro. As Ryoushi catches up with her, he learns that Shiro assaulted her when she was younger and that she was unable to convince her classmates of the truth. In response, Ryoushi swears to hunt him down. However, Shiro, before taking his leave, says that his story was just a lie. Ryouko later regains her memories while Ami and Jin's date ended well enough. The Otogi Bank receives a request to find Jutaro Nezumi, the heir to a large company, a bride before his 12th birthday. Alice Kiriki, along with Ami and Otohime, are listed as candidates, but are rejected by Hamel, his butler, for their personality flaws. After several other failed candidates, some of which are from a certain scientific railgun and Toradora, such as Mikoto Misaka, Hamel inadvertently insults Ryouko, Ringo, and Momoko. Later on, Hamel points Chutaro in the direction of Yuika, his childhood friend. The two get together, but Ryouko and the other girls are not happy about the pointless request, so Liz buys them all expensive cakes in an apology. Ringo is having trouble confronting her friend Himeno Shirayuki, who looks after 7 siblings. When Ryoushi inquires into the matter, Ringo explains that 3 years earlier, shortly after she became friends with Himeno, she discovered that they were half-sisters. Himeno's mother and their father had just finalized their divorce, and Ringo and her mother moved into the house, displacing Himeno and her mother. Feeling as though she had forced Himeno out of her home, Ringo was unable to bring herself to talk to her since. The following day, the Otogi Bank, along with Himeno and her siblings, go to a swimming pool and Ringo watches from afar. When Himeno almost drowns after rescuing one of her siblings, Ringo saves her using CPR, and the two finally have their long-awaited reunion. The next day, Ringo convinces the school director, Ranpu Aragami, to give Himeno a special scholarship to university. The Otogi Bank learn that someone has leaked information about their secret underground base to the press, believing it may be the work of Shiro. They decide to hold a discount on requests, which makes everyone very busy. Ryouko, who had a strange dream involving Ryoushi, starts avoiding him. Later, Ryoushi encounters a cat-like boy named Saburo Nekomiya, who offers to train Ryoushi to be a real man. Meanwhile, Ryouko and Ringo find a beaten-up Onigashima high school student named Riko Kokono injured outside their dorms. She explains that she was the girlfriend of Shiro who was cast aside and left at the hands of the delinquents. Ryouko allows Riko to stay with her while arranging for her transfer to Otogi Academy. While Ryoushi trains with Saburo, Ringo asks Liz to look into Riko's background while Atsu keeps watch over her. However, Riko turns out to be working for Shiro, and this is part of a plan. Atsu, Ryouko, and Otohime are kidnapped, throwing the Otogi Bank into disarray. Ryoushi continues his training with Saburo. A call from the president interrupts the lesson and he learns of Ryoko's kidnapping. Ryouko wakes up in Onigashima High School where she is confronted by Shiro. Elsewhere, Taro rescues Otohime, Majolika rescues Atsu, and List saves Alice and Mimi. Ryoushi and Saburo break through Onigashima's defenses with the help of Momoko and her subordinates, along with the reunited members of the Otogi Bank. Saburo finally explains that he decided to train Ryoushi because he once abandoned Ryouko when she was in danger and felt guilty. Soon after, Ryoushi faces Shiro, while initially overwhelmed by his fighting ability, remembers his training and feelings and lands a hit on Shiro before List arrives and declares the fight over. After Ryouko thanks everyone, they return to their daily routines. A poor paper girl named Machiko Himura notices her classmate, Ryoushi, leaving his dorm to walk his dogs and mistakenly believes that the Ononashi dorm is a single residence and that his family owns it, which technically it does since his aunt and uncle are the proprietors. Believing she can marry out of poverty, Machiko confronts Ryoushi in class the following day and asks him to marry her. Later, to further her plans, she requests a date with him through the Otogi Bank. Ringo manipulates Ryoko's feelings for Ryoushi and gets her to follow him on his date, hoping that she will be more honest about herself. The date progresses well when Machiko abruptly ends it. A confused Ryoushi leaves but returns in time to save Machiko from loan sharks. A grateful Machiko reveals her motives for the date and proposal, which is that she has been paying off the family debt with the money from her part-time job, but her father ran away with the latest payment. Ryoushi, angry, not at Machiko, but at the situation life has put her in, calls the Otogi Bank to arrange the matters. The loan sharks reappear and Ryoushi takes them on with Ryouko joining the fight unexpectedly. After the debt collectors are arrested, the Otogi Bank pays off Machiko's debt and arranges for her to become a tenant at the Otohashi residence. That evening, at Machiko's housewarming party, Machiko wants to confess again, but before she can, Ryoushi tells Machiko that he can be manly because of Ryouko, who happens to be eavesdropping. Machiko later bluntly asks Ryouko if she likes him and agrees to back off when, true to her nature, she says that she does not dislike him. Thanks for watching! If you enjoyed it, be sure to let us know by leaving a like, subscribe for more stories, and check out other stories here. And you can check me out at AKMarieVO on Twitter, and on Casting Call Club under the username Sarah Larson. That's Sarah with an H, by the way.